Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a very good afternoon. This is March 7th of 2026. It's a Saturday, and I'm starting this live stream to talk about a massive wave. That's right, a massive wave. And I think you probably know what I'm going to talk about, but there may be some out there who are going to ask, Tausif, what do you mean by this massive wave? Are you talking about an actual wave? Has there been an earthquake somewhere? Is there a risk of a tsunami? What is this wave you're referring to? You know, are there cyclones or what? My friends, this is actually a political wave we're talking about. Has got nothing to do with natural disasters or natural events. We're going to be talking about the balance of power in Congress. We're going to be talking about a massive wave, meaning a massive wave of retirements. People leaving the House of Representatives, members of Congress deciding not to seek re-election. A lot of people deciding not to seek re-election in Congress, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So that's the massive wave. My friends, it takes a lot of work to get elected to Congress, both the House and the US Senate. It takes tremendous amount of work to get elected, to run for office, and to get elected. And when a member of Congress decides not to seek re-election, that is also a very big decision. First of all, it's not easy to get elected. It's not. It's not something that you decide to do and you accomplish easily. I mean, some people might. Their fortunes may favor them. They are very lucky. They decide to run for office, and with maybe minimal efforts, they get elected, but that's usually not the case. You know, it starts with a person having to decide which office to run for. The House or the Senate. And I'm not talking about other offices like the governor's office. I'm not talking about state legislature. I'm not talking about other positions that are available in government, in state government, local government. Somebody might run for mayor, city council, county board. There are so many offices out there. School board, state assembly, state senate, state treasurer, secretary of state. I'm not talking about the U.S. Secretary of State. I'm not talking about Marco Rubio. I'm talking about state level positions that are available. So, like Wisconsin has a Secretary of State position. So I'm talking about that. So we are focusing for this discussion. We are focusing only on the federal offices. We're talking about Congress. We're talking about the House primarily and also the Senate. A person first has to decide which office to run for. A Senate run is a much bigger project than a House run, because the Senate is statewide. A House is only a district, but a Senate is statewide. And depending on the size of the state, you could be talking about a state of 1 million people. You could be talking about a state of millions and millions and millions of people. So Senate is a much bigger deal than a House run compared to the House run. And when running for office, it's not just about a person's ideas. You know, usually a candidate would say that, oh, I've got great ideas. I know how to solve the problems. There are so many problems affecting our everyday lives. There are so many problems at the federal level, and I got the exact solution. I know how to solve these problems. Okay, so that may give a confidence boost to the person who's deciding to run for office. But it's not just about having the right ideas, not just about having the right policy proposals, not just about having a sense of what legislation needs to be introduced to solve a certain issue. There are also other objectives that must be met for a congressional run. By the way, my friends, if you are here, please make sure that you're liking this video. If you are watching this and you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, stay connected, be a part of this community, and also share this video. Share this video with your friends, family members, and your neighbors. Invite them to this channel and encourage them to also subscribe. I see Z is over here. I see K Cooper is over here. I see Zero is over here as well. So, we got people here with a wide range of viewpoints. Z and K tend to be in agreement with me most of the time. And then Zero, usually has different viewpoints. But anyway, we welcome everyone here. Be a part of this community. And if you want to chat, make sure you subscribe and you participate in the live chat. All right, my friends. There are so many objectives in a congressional campaign, objectives that must be met for a successful congressional run. The ideas are not going to matter if the candidate cannot reach the voters. The ideas are not going to matter if the person cannot communicate those ideas to the voters. My friends, a person has to travel all over the state for a Senate run and all over the district for a House run. And the district could be, a small area with a large population, maybe geographically small, but densely populated, or the district, a House district, a congressional district could be, a big area with the population scattered, okay? But geographically big. I mean, here in Wisconsin, you look at the congressional districts in the southern part of the state. You look at, a district such as the 2nd Congressional District where I live. Just a few counties, but it has some very populated areas like the city of Madison. And so there are a lot of people, but geographically the area is not that big. But then you look at the 7th Congressional District up in northern Wisconsin. It is a big area. So anyway, depending on the actual size, I'm talking about square miles, the actual size of the district, a candidate may have to travel a lot. Even if it's not a statewide run, it's a House run, but still a candidate may have to travel a lot. So, my friends, it is important to interact directly with the voters. And, a massive amount of funds will have to be raised to launch TV ads to get the message out to the voters. And, mailing campaign literature also requires a lot of money. Even traveling and paying for gasoline for the vehicles would require a tremendous amount of money. So fundraising in any election for a federal level office, fundraising has to be a priority while maintaining the focus on delivering a solid message to the voters. By the way, my friends, if you are here, please make sure you introduce yourself, say hello, and join the conversation. All right? If you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. And anyway, so this live stream that I'm doing right now, it's not about campaign strategies, because if we're talking about campaign strategies, I could probably be here for hours. But this is not about campaign strategies. And I need to mention, I think it's important, I need to mention that even if you are running for office in a district that is extremely favorable for the party that you're running from, that you're a part of, for example, you're a Republican running in a heavily red district, okay, where the chance of victory in the general election is high, there still might be intense competition in the primary. There still might be a lot of competition in the primary. For example, the 7th Congressional District of Wisconsin, it is a red district. It's Trump territory, but there are at least 4 and maybe 5 candidates running from the Republican side because people seem to assume that whoever wins the Republican primary will eventually become the member of Congress from that district because it's a red district. It's a Republican-heavy district. So the main competition is in the Republican primary rather than the general election that's coming up. Okay, so we got like 4 or 5 candidates running from the Republican side in the 7th Congressional District of Wisconsin. All right, let's see. Victoria is here. Hello, Victoria. By the way, I have a question over here in the live chat. I'm asking the question, which party will have the majority in the House of Representatives in 2027? Okay? By that I mean which party is going to be dominating in the election in November 2026. Is it going to be the Republican Party or the Democrat Party? And right now you can see an exact 50-50 split. You can see it's a 50-50 split. 50% said the Republican Party, 50% said the Democrat Party. And the question once again is, which party will have the majority in the House of Representatives in 2027? That's next year. Because whoever wins in November 2026 will be sworn into office in January of 2027, which is why I'm asking the question, which party is going to have the majority in the House of Representatives? So my friends, go ahead, make a selection. If you think it's the Republican Party, choose that. If you think it's the Democrat Party, choose that. All right. Kay Cooper is saying definitely Republican. Thank you so much, Kay. I appreciate that. I hope it's the Republican Party. I'm a Republican, proud conservative. And so I would like to see the Republicans not only win in November 2026, but win in a landslide so that we not only hold on to the House majority, but we grow the size of that majority, gain more seats. Right now, we do have the majority, but it is very slim, my friends, very slim. Z is saying that he's going to be voting straight red. Z, I like that statement so much. I absolutely love the fact that we have so much of enthusiasm among the Republicans. And you can see Z is writing that Z is going to be voting straight red. Red candidates up and down the ballot. Okay? So if you've got a gubernatorial race in your state, vote for the Republican candidate. If you have a Senate race in your state, vote for the Republican candidate. If you obviously have a House race, vote for the Republican candidate. House races are every 2 years, so definitely there's a House race every time. So go ahead, my friends, share with me your thoughts in the live chat. Also make sure that you're subscribing, hit the like button, share this video. I have so much more to talk about. So I appreciate you all being here. So, my friends, what I'm trying to say is that running for Congress is not easy. Getting elected is not easy. And Senate races require a lot more work because it involves the entire state. There are tens and tens of millions of dollars that get poured into Senate races. And the funds may be coming from all over the United States. So, my friends, if a person gets elected to Congress, the House or the Senate, and then you find out that a member of Congress decides not to seek re-election, it's a major decision. It's a major decision to go out and say in front of the public that you're not going to seek re-election. It's a huge decision to publish that press release to let the world know that you're not seeking re-election. A person works so hard to get elected. And then for House members, they have to be on the ballot every 2 years for re-election. It's constant campaigning. All the even numbered years, 2020, 2022, 2024, 2026, 2028, 2030, 2032, 34, 36, 38. I mean, if you're a House member, if you are a congressperson, if you're a member of Congress, a congresswoman or a congressman, every 2 years you have to run for re-election if you want to stay in office. It's not like the Senate. In the Senate, you have 6 years. It's a much longer term, 6 years in the Senate. But in the House, it is every 2 years, every 2 years. Gianna is here. Gianna, so good to see you. Thank you for being here, Gianna. So we got Gianna, we got Kay, we got Ziggy, Z. We have Victoria. We have Zero. Zero is silent. I'm not seeing any comments from Zero. I don't know what's going on. Zero usually, likes to write long essays. If you've seen any of his comments, oh my God, writing an essay every time. Writing an essay, refuting everything that I say in a live stream or a podcast episode. But now Zero is so silent. Pin drop silence. No comments coming from Zero. I don't know why. Gianna, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Gianna from New York. Gianna, how are things in New York going? Please let us know in the live chat. My friends? Oh, Zero is saying Zero is just listening. Oh, for a change, Zero is just listening. Hey, that's awesome. Listening is good, People get to learn a lot when they listen. But a lot of people don't want to listen. They just want to talk. I like to talk, and I also like to listen. I like to find out what people have to say. And Zero makes me read a lot by writing long essays. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go check out some of my previous videos and Zero's dissertations. Dissertation size, no, maybe I'm exaggerating, not a dissertation size, but really, it's a long essay. All those comments. Anyway, that's good. That means you're listening to what I have to say, which is, what I prefer, that people listen and they share their thoughts with me. So go right ahead. Go right ahead, Zero. So, my friends, what was I saying? It is a lot of work to get elected to Congress and then to decide that you're not going to run for re-election. It's a big decision. Very, very big decision. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because a massive wave is happening right now. A wave of members of Congress deciding not to seek re-election. For some, it's just retirement. You want to retire, go home, relax, spend time with family, pursue your hobbies. At a certain age, people want to retire. Some people want to retire early. Some people want to work for as long as they can. They never stop. They never retire. They just keep working. They keep serving the people. It depends on the person. I mean, not just in government, even in the private sector, you're going to see some people, they retire. They've got their life goals. They've got their objectives. They meet those objectives and they decide that they are going to retire in the 50s. In their 50s. I mean, in 50s, think about it. You're still young. You're still young if you're in the 50s. There's so many more years of time left for you to be able to work and be a productive member of society, engage in economic activity. But people decide to retire at 50. There are those who say, oh, I've done what I had to do. I've met my goals. I've got my retirement funds and everything, I've worked hard, did well, just retire in the 50s. And there are those who are, maybe in their 80s, they're 80 years old, but they don't stop. If they're physically fit, if they can work, if they can go on, continue being in some kind of employment, whether it's self-employment, they'll do that. My friends, when you're talking about politics, there are people who run for office when they are in their 60s. A person could be 64 and running for office for the first time, running for Congress, running for Senate. In politics, there's, really no age. Look at our president. He's a senior citizen. He is a lot senior than a lot of people in office. And he is so sharp, so active, so energetic. He continues to serve. He continues to serve this country. He continues to do what is good for the people of the United States of America. President Donald Trump, senior citizen, but he is working hard. In fact, going beyond the US and trying to promote peace all over the world. Trying to make America great again and trying to make the world peaceful, more peaceful. So anyway, there are a lot of people who are serving in Congress and they are just deciding to retire. But there are others who are much younger. And you just have to ask the question, why are they leaving Congress? Maybe there are better opportunities in the private sector. Maybe they are too tired of Washington politics. Maybe there's just too much of partisan fighting in DC that they are now tired of. Maybe the policymaking process is long and exhausting and they're just tired of it. A lot of people who spent many years in the private sector, maybe running a business or working for a business, and they are used to efficiency, they are used to seeing excellent customer service and prompt response and getting things done, meeting objectives, meeting goals, and then they run for office, go to Washington, D.C., and they see how slow things are in the nation's capital in terms of being able to accomplish something, being able to get things done. You got a great idea, you got a legislation that you introduce, you've got co-sponsors, maybe it's a bipartisan legislation, but for whatever reason, the legislation doesn't move forward. It gets stuck in a committee. Maybe it's approved by a committee, but for whatever reason doesn't get voted on by the legislature, and or something happens that slows things down. Even great ideas, common sense ideas with bipartisan support may get stuck in Washington and may never see a vote, and things just come to an end. And then in the next Congress, you may have to introduce that again and try again to see if the common sense legislation can have an opportunity to be signed into law. My friends, sometimes people get tired of the dysfunction and the slow process, and people get frustrated. And maybe that's why they leave. Maybe that's why they decide to not seek re-election. There could be a range of reasons. Now, according to reports, House retirements are reaching a record number. I saw a news report that the House of Representatives lawmakers are exiting at the fastest rate in decades. Reportedly, 53 House members have decided not to seek re-election in 2026. 53 53 House members, and I think the actual number may now be even more, because Congressman Darrell Issa also announced that he's not seeking re-election. So maybe it's 54 House members. By the way, my friends, if you are here, please make sure that you are liking this video, subscribing. Hold on a second. If you have questions, go ahead and ask those questions. Butch is over here. Butch, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Butch. I appreciate that very much. Anyone else here? Go ahead. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yep. She is one of the House members who decided, to actually leave early. Her case is a little different. She could have completed her term. She could have said that she's not going to run for re-election and just wrap up the term, but she decided to leave early in the middle of the term. John is saying, how you been? Haven't been here in a couple of months. Well, thank you for being here now, John. Appreciate that. There are people who I have not seen in a while. There are those who haven't seen me in a while. Maybe you have not tuned in for a live stream, or maybe, my videos didn't pop up for whatever reason. Maybe you were busy, but I appreciate you all being here now. Butch, good to see you. All right. Anyone here who's new, who's here for the first time? Anyone here for the first time? All right. I think more and more people are coming now. That's great. All right. So as I was saying, 53 House members have decided not to seek re-election in 2026. I think the number may be 54, because Darrell Issa, I think he announced after that report came out about 53, if I'm getting the dates correct. So 53 House members not seeking re-election in 2026 plus Darrell Issa, that makes it 54. More than 30 Republicans and just over 20 Democrats. So a higher number of Republicans are leaving the House compared to the Democrats. So more Republican departures than the Democrats. And Congressman Burgess Owens is not seeking re-election. Marjorie Taylor Greene, somebody brought that up. Marjorie Taylor Greene already left. And Ellis Stefanik, she decided to run for governor and then also exited the governor's race. Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, she is also leaving. And I think that's a retirement, because she's a very, very senior citizen, Nancy Pelosi. So it's time for her to retire. Wesley Hunt from Texas. Wesley Hunt, he decided to run for Senate in Texas and failed in the primary. So Wesley Hunt, was running for Senate. Okay, so John Cornyn, incumbent Republican Texas U.S. Senator, running for re-election, and then Ken Paxton decides to primary John Cornyn. I've talked about that race. And then Wesley Hunt also decides to run. So we saw that John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, no one reached the 50% vote threshold, but they advanced to a runoff, which is going to be in May, although that whole dynamics, that thing, that may change, because Donald Trump may make an endorsement soon in the Texas Senate race. So if he decides to endorse John Cornyn, the incumbent, then there's going to be a lot of pressure on Ken Paxton to drop out. And if Donald Trump endorses Ken Paxton, which, honestly, I don't see that happening, because why would you endorse a challenger instead of an incumbent, when the incumbent is in the Senate, is a current office holder in the Senate. So I think it's likely that Donald Trump is going to endorse John Cornyn. I could be wrong. Like I said, in politics, there's no way to know for sure. You cannot make a prediction. I'm not going to try to predict what Donald Trump is going to do. Is he going to endorse John Cornyn or Ken Paxton? If I were to make a guess, I would say he's going to endorse John Cornyn, um, because the incumbent has certain advantages, okay? I mean, Ken Paxton is also an incumbent, but he's the incumbent attorney general. He's not the incumbent U.S. senator. So anyway, I think it's going to be John Cornyn. And if, okay, there's a huge if Donald Trump, if President Trump decides to endorse John Cornyn, then Ken Paxton, I don't see how he continues to run. He would, at that point, he would have to drop out. There's going to be tremendous pressure because, you know, if this fight continues, if John Cornyn and Ken Paxton, they continue to compete with each other, and they end up both advancing, and they keep competing until the day of the runoff. By then we will be losing a lot of valuable time, and whoever wins the runoff will have less time to focus on competing against James Tallarico. But if Donald Trump, let's say within a few days, or maybe at a couple weeks at most, if Donald Trump decides to make an endorsement, and if the other person who does not get the endorsement drops out, then the person who receives the endorsement, likely John Cornyn, will have more time to focus on defeating James Tallarico and maintaining the seat, and keeping the seat in Republican hands. But anyway, we're not going to be talking about the Texas Senate race right now. The main point was Wesley Hunt did not advance in the Texas Senate primary, but because he decided to run for Senate, and he also failed in the Senate run, he's not going to be running for re-election in the House race. Eric Swalwell, Democrat. Eric Swalwell is leaving because he decided to run for governor in California. Congressman Tom Tiffany in Wisconsin. By the way, Eric Swalwell, Democrat, I mentioned that. Congressman Tom Tiffany, Republican, he's leaving the House because he's running for governor of Wisconsin. And those who are leaving the House to seek some other office, like running for Senate or governor, that I can understand. So they are looking for a different position. That I can understand. So they are still staying in politics. They still want to serve the people. They want to be a public office holder, but they want to leave the House and serve in a different capacity. That I can understand. But then there are those who are leaving just to leave. They are leaving because they are not going to be in the House anymore, and they are just deciding not to be in public office, okay? And there are people like that. Anyway, Ashley Hinson in Iowa, she's running for Senate, so she's leaving the House. Jerry Nadler, New York. Jerry Nadler. He's very old, so he's retiring. And Nancy Mace is leaving the House to run for governor. Buddy Carter in Georgia is running for Senate. Raja Krishnamurthy in Illinois is running for Senate. John James in Michigan is running for governor. Byron Donalds in Florida is running for governor. Andy Biggs in Arizona is running for governor. But then there's Ryan Zinke. He's not seeking re-election to his House seat, but I have not seen any news report that says he's running for some other office. So he's just not seeking re-election. Now, some might say that Ryan Zinke is in his 60s, so he's retiring, but keep in mind that a lot of people get elected to Congress in their 60s. I think I've just mentioned that a few moments ago. So being in the 60s is not a very big deal. Ryan Zinke could continue to be in office, but he's choosing to leave. Some people leave because they want to spend more time with family, because traveling back and forth between the district and Washington, D.C., can be very exhausting for some people. I remember Paul Ryan when he decided not to seek re-election. Remember former Speaker of the House Paul Ryan? Paul Ryan from Wisconsin's 1st Congressional District, a district that he represented for many, many years, Paul Ryan, when he decided not to seek re-election to the House. That announcement was made back in 2018. Paul Ryan, he said that he wanted to be there for his kids. He did not want to be a weekend dad. Family comes first. And that was his decision back then, which is why he left the House. My friends, the reasons why I am talking about this is because a massive wave of retirements, a massive wave of people not seeking re-election to the House will mean that there will be many new faces in the House in 2027 when the new session of Congress starts. And now the two parties are engaged in an intense competition to ensure that those new faces come from their side. So the Republicans want most of the new faces in Congress next year to be from their party, which is also my party. And I know there are so many people here who would identify as Republicans. I'm a Republican. Who's a Republican here? Tell me, if you consider yourself to be a Republican, just write Republican in the live chat. And if you consider yourself to be a Democrat, if you support Democrats, just say Democrat in the live chat. Let me see what people have to say, how they respond. Go ahead. Victoria is saying independent. So Victoria considers herself to be neither a Republican nor a Democrat. Victoria is an independent. Kay Cooper is saying a Republican. Butch is saying Republican always. And we have a viewer here who goes by the name of Ultra MAGA, is saying MAGA, so that's Republican. So go ahead, my friends. Share your thoughts with me in the live chat. We got somebody who's saying self. What does that mean? What does that mean? Are you an independent? What do you mean by self? Are you an independent like Victoria? Explain it. Lawrence is saying Republican. Thank you, Lawrence, for being here. Lawrence, thanks for supporting this channel, for always tuning in for the live streams, for leaving comments on my videos. I truly appreciate your participation. Thanks so much. Okay. My friends, the Democrats, they are trying to recapture the House majority, and the Republicans are trying to hold on to the House majority and to grow the size of the majority. And so that brings us to November 2026. We're still months away. But you know what? We are already in the month of March. The first week of March is coming to an end. How long before we get to November? The House races will determine the future of this country. My friends, when you look at the different studies, the polls, the probabilities, there are a lot of people out there who are saying that the Democrats will capture the House. Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think that all those who are saying that the Democrats will get the House majority this time, do you think those people are right? I just want to ask the question, how do you know for sure? How do all those people who say that the Democrats are going to win the House, how do you know? How do you know? How can you predict the future? Do you know what's going to happen? There are so many months left. In the political world, things change quite dramatically overnight. Public opinions can change. Something happens that sways public opinion in favor of one party and away from the other party. Things can happen. So many things can happen. How can anyone say at this point in time that, oh, the Democrats are going to win the House? How can you say that? I'm not here saying that, oh, the Republicans definitely will hold on to the House. I'm not saying that. I want to see the Republicans hold on to the House majority. I want to see the Republicans, gain more seats than we currently have. But I cannot say here, with 100% certainty that the Republicans will prevail. I'm not saying that. So how can some folks say that about the Democrats? That, oh, this time the Democrats have the House. How? Like sitting here in March, you want to make a prediction about what's going to happen in November? Really? Have we not seen the polls being wrong? Some people are saying, oh, Donald Trump started a war, so the Republicans are going to lose. No. How can you draw a conclusion about the outcome of this military operation? It's still going on. The military operation, Epic Fury, it is still going on. You think just because Donald Trump authorized the use of force, authorized the use of military weapons, authorized the military to go in and strike Iran, you think because of that, the Republicans are going to lose in November? Like even before this military operation concludes, even before knowing the final outcome of this military operation, you want to draw a conclusion? You want to say that, oh, Trump made a mistake? How do you know that? This is an ongoing process right now. Give it a few more weeks. Don't jump into conclusions, something that people do all the time. You know, they see something and they immediately, even without having full information, even without knowing the complete picture, even without analyzing what's happening, people jump into conclusion, oh, Donald Trump started a war, so the Republicans are going to lose. What if this military operation ends up being a tremendous success? What if this military operation ends up being so successful, the kind of success that we have not seen in decades? What if this military operation ends up being written in the history books as a massive success? Then what will you say? Oh, people are just saying, oh, Trump started a war. He said no war, he started a war. Promises broken. No. Sometimes you need military action to prevent a bigger war. Sometimes you need military action to prevent a greater catastrophe. Whatever Trump is doing, whatever the president is doing, maybe he is doing that to prevent a world war. Maybe he's authorizing the deployment of military assets and military personnel to contain a situation. In the absence of US military action in the Middle East, maybe there would have been a much bigger problem. Something that perhaps has been avoided because Trump decided that the US military is going to take action. Do you think I'm wrong? You can challenge my viewpoints. Go ahead. My friends, you gotta have faith. This is a leader we elected. This is a leader we elected, and we have seen how Donald Trump has spent so much of time strengthening the alliances that we have, strengthening our relationship with our international allies, the allies in Europe, the allies in Asia. Allies all over the world. Zero is saying this is getting interesting. I don't know what Zero means by that. This is getting interesting. I really don't know what you mean by that. Either you don't like what I'm saying, or perhaps for the first time ever, you're realizing that what Tassif is saying is right. I don't know what you mean. Maybe you're saying, oh, this is interesting because you really think it's interesting, and maybe there's something to learn from this conversation that you're finding helpful. I hope that's the case. Or maybe you're saying this is interesting just because you love sarcasm. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's why I do live streams, because whatever is in my mind, I share with you. This is unedited. This is not a pre-recorded video. Then I look at a script, I record a video, then I hear it again, I replay that, and I take stuff out, and I re-record. No, this is live because I have no hesitation to share whatever is in my mind. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I will, down the road, if I end up being wrong, okay, so be it. You can come here and say right to my face, you can say, Tassif, you said this on such and such date during such and such live stream and you were wrong. Okay, all right. I'm a human being. That's all right. I can never be right 100% of the time. But if you go back and listen to what I said in 2024, I was right about the election. I was right about the swing states. I was right about a lot of things. When I wrote back in December, just a couple months ago, when I wrote that the United States needs to be more involved in the world, that the United States has a bigger role to play in the world, I was right. What the United States is doing right now is playing a bigger role in the world. And I was right. It's documented. I have been right many times. Maybe I'm a small voice. I don't have 1 million subscribers here. I don't have 1 million subscribers here. So I'm a small voice. I only get a few thousand, sometimes tens of thousands, sometimes over 100,000 people during my live streams. I've had varying degrees of success in getting my message out. But whatever I'm saying, it's documented on my website. You can go and look at what I wrote. And hold on a second. I'm going to find that out here. I'm going to read to you that. Give me a second. By the way, if you're here, please subscribe to stay connected. This was on December 26th of 2025, day after Christmas. I wrote, long-term ties in international relations are developed by extending a helpful hand to a country or population in need, a helpful hand that pulls people out of crisis, a hand of cooperation that alleviates pain, leading to the establishment of strong bond between nations. And I wrote, the United States of America has a key role to play on the global stage. Our country must actively stay involved in international affairs and focus on building economic bridges and defense partnerships. We have always known that, but this is a message that needs to be stated again with full clarity. The statement must be emphasized for all to see, hear, and understand. Back in December, I didn't know that there's going to be an Operation Epic Fury. I didn't know that the United States will launch a military operation. I didn't know all that. But in my writing, I advocated for greater involvement on the global stage, greater US involvement on the global stage, and that is exactly what happened. That is exactly what is happening right now. So yeah, I don't have a PhD in political science. I'm not a world famous expert on international security. I'm not someone who served in the military. I didn't serve in the military. So I don't have the knowledge that a US military general has when it comes to military affairs. But I know enough, and I continue to learn. I continue to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. And that's what we all should be. We should always learn. I continue to learn. And I use my mind, my knowledge, my understanding of the world, my understanding of human mind, however much I've learned in life, I use my knowledge to say what I think is going to happen or should happen. So I may be a humble voice here, but things that I have said have turned out to be true. Do you understand that? How could I know back in December that the United States, that Donald Trump will authorize such a massive military operation? No way for anyone to know. No way for anyone to know. But I said that the United States has a key role to play on the global stage. Our country must stay actively involved in international affairs. And that is exactly what is happening. I wrote that as the most powerful country in the world, we have a role to play in international relations. And I wrote that God has given the United States of America the power and influence so we can spread the message of freedom. My friends, those of you who have trusted my opinions, I thank you for your confidence in me. And those who challenge my viewpoints, go ahead, do so. That's fine. I'm not saying I'm always going to be right. I could be wrong. But if I'm wrong, I'm not afraid to admit that. And so far, on major issues, I have been right. So, my friends, going back to the balance of power in Congress, the House races. If anyone says, oh, the Democrats are going to win the House, how do you know that? How do you know? How can you be so confident, oh, the Democrats are going to win the House? You don't know that. What if the Republicans, and I hope it happens, what if the Republicans end up making major gains when you look at the House seats? What if we start 2027 with a solid majority, not a slim majority? I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to happen, but what if it does? And it very well could. The House races, my friends, will determine the future of the country. When you look at the probabilities, when you look at the polls and the surveys and the studies out there, a lot of people think that the Democrats will capture the House, but do not be discouraged by those polls. Do not be discouraged by those graphs that you see showing that the Democrats have a higher probability of capturing the House. Do not be discouraged by these studies and surveys and polls. Do not be discouraged, because being discouraged can be very costly. You got to be energized. You have to work hard. The Republicans can definitely win. We can hold on to the House majority and also win more seats to grow the House majority. It is very, very possible. And I want you to understand that. Do not let the discouraging polls make you lose your motivation. The Democrats are laser focused on winning back the House majority. But if that happens, let me tell you, if that happens, the America First agenda will come to a screeching halt, and it's going to be really detrimental for our country and for the world, actually. Because when America does good, the world benefits. When America is successful, the world benefits. The world is a better place. But if we cannot implement our agenda to make America great again, our allies will lose. If we cannot successfully implement the America First agenda, our allies, our international allies, will also lose. So it's going to be bad for the world, and that's why the Republicans will have to prevail in November 2026. We have to win majority of the House races. We have to win so that we can continue to be on the path of prosperity. Thank you, my friends, for being here. I appreciate you all. Any questions for me? Go right ahead. Yeah, Butch, exactly, Butch. That's the point, Butch. You just brought it up. There were polls saying that Hillary Clinton's going to win. Hillary Clinton's going to win. So many people were so confident Hillary Clinton's going to win. What happened? How did she lose? What a victory that was for Trump, right? So do not take those polls and those studies and surveys. Don't put your 100% trust in those polls and surveys. My friends, we have to protect our country. We have to protect our freedom. We have to make sure that we, as a country, the United States of America, that we continue to be on the path of prosperity. So don't be discouraged by whatever left-wing polls you see out there. Just make sure that you vote Republican up and down the ballot. Vote for Republicans. Help the Republicans grow the size of the House majority while also growing the size of the Senate majority so that we can continue to make America great again, greater than ever before. So my friends, share with me your thoughts. Do you have any questions? I'm happy to answer. All right. Otherwise, I'm going to be back again. Maybe I'll do another live stream later today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Lawrence, Butch, K. Cooper, Victoria, Zero, thank you for being here. I see you disagree with me. That's all right. We got Z over here. We got others. Thank you. If I'm missing anyone's name, I apologize, but thank you all for being here. Thanks so much. May God bless you all. And I'm going to be back again very soon with another live stream. Lawrence says Trump is greatest president. Absolutely. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, everyone. I'll be back again very soon. Have a good afternoon. God bless you.